The first of two legislators joining us today, Representative Mike Flood, Republican of Nebraska, member of the Financial Services Subcommittee. He serves as chair, serves the 1st District of Nebraska. Good morning, sir.
Good morning. What's up with the snow out here? Like in Nebraska, we have ways to get rid of the snow, but you can't get rid of it.
We depend on heat and warm temperatures, I suspect.
Yeah, we need to send you some snow plows or something from the middle of America.
Well, sticking strictly to Washington, D.C., on Capitol Hill, there's a current debate on whether DHS is going to have funding after Friday. Where do you think that stands?
I don't think it's likely. This is a Senate Democrat White House exercise. Listen, the House, we passed all 12 bills. We have already voted to fund it. This is Donald Trump, dealing with Senate Democrats, and I don't think their base is in any mood to do anything. What's frustrating, though, is under the One Big Beautiful Bill, we have funded ICE through 2029. So really, what we're doing here is we're not paying TSA agents and FEMA and the Coast Guard and all of these other DHS responsibilities, HSI investigators that are looking at child porn. But I do not think we will have a deal by Friday, and it could go for a couple weeks or even longer.
I was going to ask you, so the calendar is for the next couple of, at least next week, both bodies are out.
That's right. And the speaker did put us on notice and said, hey, be ready to come back on Friday and vote. Of course, everybody was like, do we have a deal? And it's pretty obvious to me we don't. And so we'll get back here within 24 hours if we do, but I don't think it's going to happen before the weekend.
One of those points of contention is how to change ICE operations. Where do you stand on those things? And are what Democrats proposing reasonable to you or not?
Well, I think Tom Homan has lowered the temperature in Minnesota in a significant way. And, like in my home district of Nebraska, our law enforcement, they provide scene security when an enforcement action is being taken, and we have not had this kind of combative situation. In Minnesota, you've got police departments that aren't cooperating with these ICE enforcement officers, and that's a recipe for kind of a chaotic situation. In light of the two people that were killed, I think we need full investigation. Everything needs to be looked at, just like we would any other officer-involved shooting, and then determine what would be in the best interest of the agency going forward. I think the president does want to find common ground with the Democrats. We were able to find common ground in our branch, or in our chamber. We'll see what happens.
You cited those incidents. To what degree more transparency could have changed the situation, at least the tone, what's happening out there?
Well, I think Tom Homan came in and he did the best thing that he could. He sat down with the governor and the mayor, and he said, all right, here's what we're trying to accomplish. Here's what we need from you. We can reduce the number of agents in Minnesota if we can do these things. And it has been working much, 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 much better.
You talked about the funding deadline. Back to that, I know that there's conversations of, say, a longer CR to satisfy these needs, a short-term stopgap. Are you satisfied with either of those positions?
I would do anything.
Approach? Yeah.
I just hate going to the airport, and I go to a lot of airports, and you're going through TSA, and those people that are working at TSA put up with a lot of junk, right? And on top of it, they're not getting paid. For God's sakes, let's figure this out. I think that, I would support a 2-week clean CR. I would support a month-long clean CR. Take whatever time you need to get this done. This is not, ICE is still going to function. This is the Coast Guard. This is FEMA, TSA agents. Totally different deal. But the narrative among Democrats is, hey, fight, fight, fight. Do not give in. Go, go, go. But when Americans find out that they're not connecting the dots, I think they're going to be like, all right, well, you got to do it another way.
Mike Flood, Representative Mike Flood with us. And if you want to ask him questions, 202-748-8001 for Republicans, 202-748-8000 for Democrats and Independents, 202-748-8002. If you want to text us your thoughts on and text us thoughts to him and questions to him, you can do that at 202-748-8003. And as always, you can post on Facebook and on X. Before we go to calls, I want to ask you about other votes that took place yesterday. Efforts on the SAVE Act. Where are you on that? And what do you think of the effort overall?
Well, I think if you look at where Republicans or Democrats are on election security, everybody ranks it very, very high. Showing your ID to vote is not obnoxious. It does not violate anybody's conscience. And in Nebraska, we've already dealt with this. We did it with a statewide initiative that I supported. But there are states that don't do it. And I just think it's inherently wrong that if you're not in this country legal, you're not a citizen, you should not vote. And we have a lot of these quote unquote sanctuary cities where I can't understand why we're allowing some of that to go on. So the SAVE Act, even got one Democrat to vote for it, as I recall. Mm-hmm. They know this is a deal. This is something that needs to get done. And, I think 91% of Republicans and more than 70% of Democrats think this is a reasonable step.
You hinted at the Senate's difference on these kind of things. Where do you think the Senate runs with this?
I think that the Senate is where good ideas go to die. I don't know. They are in a much different situation, and they're constantly forced to find a bipartisan way forward, which is the way it's designed. I support that, but I think they recognize voter ID is essential, and so I think it does have a chance over there.
Also, a vote yesterday to turn back tariffs on Canada. How'd you vote on that?
I voted no on that, and for two reasons. One, the Supreme Court's going to make a decision here, maybe by June. We keep saying, it could be next week, it could be June. And number two, we're going into a negotiation on the USMCA. Why take the president's leverage out when we're going into the reauthorization of probably the most important trade agreement that we rely on in North America? So and the other thing is, it's not a lawmaking exercise. Like, I could have voted no to send a message, but there are not the votes to veto it. So let the president have the leverage he needs to get the USMCA done again.
Representative Mike Flood is with us. Our